a game struck pub. Did you forget about Godfall? Well, the developers counterplay sure didn't, and I didn't either. They have released yesterday, February the 11th, 2021, the Primal update, and this video would be an overview of this update. And what I'm going to talk about is, well, obviously the Primal items, which is the main part of it. But as the developers mentioned in December, they were going to release a free content update in the first quarter of 2021. And I was assuming late February, beginning of March. They kind of surprised me. Whether it's pleasant surprise, I'm gonna find out when I stream the game later and explore all the changes. In quarter 2 2021, everyone is getting the paid expansion, which is included in the Ascended and Divine editions. Apart from that, there's gonna be other features, and there's also a video that the developers made, 1 minute 46 seconds, on the official Godfall channel you could watch. Now let's talk key features. I'm going to quickly list them and then talk in detail, including the developer designer commentary in my overview of each. So the key features you would expect are Ascension Levels, then Primal items, Tower of Trials 2.0, Dreamstones 2.0, Zenon the Shopkeeper 2.0, I guess you can say, and more quality of life. So first I'm gonna talk about those key features, starting with Ascension Levels. You can power up after reaching the level cap. Ascension Levels are basically something you earn after you have reached the level cap. You get experience and it allows you to reach up to 450 Ascension Levels. The closest thing I can tell you to think of is Paragon levels in Diablo 3 or Guardian ranks in Borderlands 3. If you've played any of those games, you would have some idea, or if you've played Warhammer Chaosbane, think of the legendary ranks. Reaching new Ascension level allows you to unlock Ascension bonuses and Ascension powers, which are traits that are applied to all of your Valor plates. And you can customize your late game progression in 3 ways: Ascension bonuses, Ascension powers, and customizing your traits. So gaining a point every time you reach a new Ascension level allows you to spend those points to unlock Ascension bonuses, which are traits that improve your stats and skills, and the more bonuses you unlock, the more options to choose from become available. Every 25 Ascension levels you unlock another Ascension power, and each Ascension power gives you the option between 2 powerful traits, and your choices can be modified at any time. You can choose which bonuses and powers to unlock based on your preferences and playstyle. With hundreds of traits to unlock, there are supposedly many different ways to customize your late game builds. Now, the other big change is Primal items, the namesake of this update. They supposedly add a compelling dimension to wood hunting, injecting a massive buff to the item's primary trait as a new wood modifier. And they're saying that you're going to be able to see all of those on the detailed stat screen, but nowhere in the stat screen does it list that primary effect of the primary weapon or the secondary weapon that a person is wearing. So what are we to think of this? See, this whenever you inflict your bleed, shoot up to 2 projectiles on that screenshot that you're seeing is just not listed under primary weapon or secondary weapon. And I think this is their primary weapon because you can see element physical and the other one is fire. And yeah, we do see bleed chance, we do see all sorts of other things, but the primary power is not mentioned there. So they're kind of misleading people into thinking they would be able to see that the impact of those effects in the detailed player stat screen. That's me quoting. You can't. The primary traits on primal items are 50% stronger than their non-primal counterparts. Primal items can only be found inside locked chests in the Ascended Tower of Trials. Primal items have the following rarity drop rates: Uncommon 5%, Rare 10%, Epic 35%, Legendary 50%. Items whose primary traits are not scalable do not have primal versions. Example: Peacock Charm's primary trait is bind nearby enemies whenever you use your life stone. This trait has no value to multiply by 1.5. Well, they can make the nearby bigger, the radius. So you have a radius to nearby. Multiply that by 1.5. Here's to that, an idea. Think, please. So yeah, bigger radius. That's what you can do when there's no value other than a radius to modify. Then let's talk a little bit about the Tower of Trials. The Tower of Trials got some serious changes. Both regular and ascended versions of the tower received a substantial overhaul and expanded content, including fresh new objectives, better rewards, greater challenges, and surprise events that will force you to adapt and test your builds. This increased difficulty will definitely make good use of your new Ascension levels and Primal modifiers. Ascended Tower of Trials and Tower of Trials now have you pick Banes, which you can see on the screenshot. Those are negative effects on the player. The harder the Bane, the better the loot bonus. But apart from selecting a Bane, each Bane, as you can see, gives you a loot bonus. Tower of Trials 2.0. When we set out to improve Tower of Trials, we had three core pillars that we rallied around. We wanted to ensure that each run feels fresh and exciting. They fell there. That the new challenges were meaningful and interesting to play around, and that you were heavily rewarded for your time spent. They actually felt there as well. So hopefully they improved that now. They said new features, new room trials, triple control point, triple leader, and boss and mixed tribe. Bane system. After every third trial, players must choose a Bane. Banes are negative effects that hinder all players in a party. Banes provide a wood bonus, increasing wood generated by enemy and chests. New prime enemies. Banes can add a new challenging variant of enemy to encounter. Those prime enemies generally have a more powerful version of one of their key abilities and drop additional wood when defeated. New Tower of Trials boons. Players can now be offered boons that interact directly with Tower of Trials mechanics. Example, plus 5% damage for every 10 keys you've spent. Boon upgrade rooms. Players can now upgrade their boons. Exclusive source of primal items. Primary traits of primal items are 50% stronger than their non-primal counterparts. Key rewards have been significantly increased. Higher rarity doors are more likely to spawn. Thankfully, the Ascended Tower of Trials now has 30 trials, previously 100. Difficulty and rewards now scale much more quickly as players ascend. The Ascendant trophy is now earned by completing Trial 20, previously 50. The challenge of earning this trophy is roughly the same as before. Improved boon UIs. Doors and chests now properly advertise their contents 100% of the time, thankfully. Now, there's another thing that got changes, and that's Dreamstones. Dreamstones have undergone extensive changes, including improved wood targeting and increased Electrum rewards. I'm so happy about this increased Electrum rewards, but I want to see how much they increase those. They've also added an entirely new class of items called Volatile Dreamstones that can further improve your rewards. And those would be pretty fun to test. But did they rebalance the overpowered bosses that took forever to kill and were just boring? It's not that they were that difficult, but they were just a chore. They were boring to just. It was a slog fest. Some boss fights were a slog fest, especially that Suwaris fight on some builds. Now, Dreamstones 2.0. For our revamp of Dreamstones, we wanted to give you more control over the wood that you're earning, to introduce more variety in the Dreamstones that you play, and to reduce your frustration around Electrum costs. Dreamstones have been overhauled, introducing the concept of stability and lucidity. Infinite rounds. A Dreamstone run can continue as long as stability stays above 0. Boss actions. The Dreamstone boss takes action after each round, reducing stability, increasing Dreamstone level, or adding a Bane to the Dreamstone run. Objectives matter. Each objective completed inside a mission will reward the player with stability and lucidity. Dream shaping. Players can spend lucidity to shape their Dreamstone rewards. Volatile Dreamstones. Those are one-time use Dreamstones that can be found as rewards inside Dreamstones. They can be rare, epic, or legendary, and have between 1 and 3 random positive modifiers. Electrum demands have been reduced. All exalted Dreamstones cost 15,000 Electrum to enter. Previously, they were 30,000. In normal Dreamstones, completing one activity will add an Electrum reward to the final boss mission, and this reward is greater than the entry fee. In normal Dreamstones, completing a second activity will add a volatile Dreamstone reward to the final boss mission. Volatile Dreamstones are free to enter, but are used up on entry. Volatile Dreamstones can reward the player with 2 additional Volatile Dreamstones, allowing players to infinitely chain Volatile Dreamstones without spending Electrum. Final bosses no longer have modifiers. Players will no longer find their build completely useless against a final boss. Boons have been removed from Dreamstones to compensate, and the final boss can be challenged in any round. Now, Zenon, the shopkeeper. Zenon is now an in-game vendor, and he would let you buy weapons with your in-game resources to gear up for your challenge runs. You can head to the Sanctum and see what Zenon has available for you today. His new features are that he will offer items that can be purchased with Electrum, Infused Jasper, Crystalline Tears, Etheric Filaments, Primal Quintessence, and Dragon Steel. Zenon will refresh his shop whenever a story mission is completed or whenever a Dreamstone final boss mission is completed. Zenon will not offer dual primary or primary items. These must be earned by playing in the Ascended Tower of Trials. Now there's more quality of life. This content update includes various bug fixes, player weapon refinements, co-op tech enhancements, and other quality of life improvements. The full list can be found below, and I would talk about that at the end of the video. There will be a segment where I'm going over the patch notes. So they're saying as we head deeper into 2021, we will continue to strive for excellence so you can have a truly enjoyable experience. With this in mind, the team will be quiet and heads down, working on delivering on the expansion as planned, along with even more quality of life improvements. We appreciate and thank you for your continued feedback and support. We can't wait for you to enjoy this free Primal content update. Sincerely, Keatley, that's the CEO of Counterplay Games, who you could also see in the video on their official channel. Now, let's go over the patch notes. 2.4.44. It's already been deployed, so I'm not gonna go over the deployment stuff. So general for all platforms. I'm not gonna read every single patch note, but some of the interesting ones. Now there's some enemy related stuff. Solved an issue where bosses in the takedown state would reset and become invulnerable to takedowns if the player dies. That's interesting. They solved an issue where certain bosses, basic and their variations, would not have their takedown animations available. Also an issue where defeating a story mission boss would do sometimes crash without saving progress. An issue where leveling up while performing a takedown finisher on a boss would cause the boss to no longer be defeatable, where summoned enemies from the boss encounter would remain alive after the main boss has perished. An issue during Dreamstone Gauntlet where bosses would not spill their utility drops such as Health Globes or Archon Fury charge until the final boss died, which is super annoying if you're doing one of those. Then solved a multiplayer issue where the final boss in a Gauntlet mission would fail to drop the wood from the previous bosses. And then a multiplayer issue when enemy projectiles could desync and cause damage to players through their shields or clip through their hitbox, dealing no damage. An issue where Abyssian Lancers could regenerate faster than intended, and an issue where Black Tide officers could grab the player from a greater distance than intended. An issue where Dark Moon Sentinels would make a non-perilous attack that would expose a weak point if parried, but remain ethereal and thus invulnerable to damage. An issue where Grief's Sunsteel would continuously spawn flame blood enemies if the player would wait outside the arena. A multiplayer issue where Dreamstone Ascendant / Exalted Grief's Sunsteel mission could be successfully completed by having one player leave the party and another player die, which was silly. I never even knew that. An issue where Subeku would use their perilous strikes or bite after a tail swipe attack and always miss the player. An issue where Gilden Knight could become unkillable in Dreamstones if players dealt too much damage too quickly. An issue where the player could be stunned out of the Vargo warrior takedown animation, causing the Vargo warrior to become unkillable. An issue where Sunflare Ravager could become invulnerable if the fallback alternate takedown is used instead of the primary animation. And also an issue where Faustus the Arc would teleport away. They would appear to start their healing ability but never actually complete that action. Then for the same enemy encounter where they could use their grab attacks before intended. Then another issue with that same encounter where they could reveal a takedown prompt when breached before being reduced to 0 hit points as intended. And then also an issue where the Exalted Suari's grab attack would kill a player instantly regardless of their stats. And then another issue where Exalted Suaris would not spawn correctly and not fight the player or take damage. And then another issue where Suaris's Beam Massacre could be reselected for use immediately after firing. And then Suarez should now go into proper recovery from using that attack. They solved the multiplayer issue where Suarez would summon an invisible sun flare orb for the remainder of the mission. An issue where certain enemy types would sometimes suffer no damage from takedowns, an issue where enemies were not scaling correctly, an issue where enemy grab attacks would connect at the start of the anticipation animation instead of the intended attack frame, and an issue where players were able to block certain red power attacks. A reminder that red power attacks are meant to be unblockable. So that's a long list, and then there's combat related items and UI HUD and input related items, and I'm not gonna list all of those. I'm not gonna read all of those. You can see them on the screen, but I'm not gonna read them all. I'm gonna read just some of the community reported ones. So solved an issue where player projectiles such as shields would sometimes not interact with story mission objectives like spirit tethers. Solved an issue where using a northern technique while having the polearm void sights as your offhand would still allow you to trigger its primary effect and summon a void sentinel. Solved an issue where leveling up the middle in the middle of a longsword heavy combo finisher would result in eccentric camera behavior. And I'm gonna now move on to UI HUD with only reading the player suggested ones. You can read the full list yourself or on the screen or on the either on the screen or on the patch notes. Solve the multiplayer issue where the second player to interact with a divination spring can remove the boon the first player selected by choosing the same button. Solved an issue where a crash could occur when trying to unlock a new Valor plate while the rank 5 takedown skill is unlocked. an issue where parrying a red power attack with high ping would cause the shield to stay deployed on their arm. Various issues with vocalization strings as well. And there's a lot of other issues with that. Next, there's a bunch of sound effects and VFX related items. I'm just gonna I'm gonna read a few of them. So, for example, there's sound effects with low HP and visual effects with low HP. Then there were issues where leveling up could create a corrupted sound effect that would whoop for a short time. Issues where opening the door to Zamora could create a corrupted sound effects that would whoop until the mission is complete, and much more. Now there's misc items. There's a long list of misc items. I'm gonna read some of them. An issue in free roam where the chest of the third complete activity would sometimes disappear after completing the puzzle. An issue where a cursed chest protective aura would reappear if the player created too much distance between them and the chest after defeating all the enemies, preventing the players from opening the chest. A multiplayer issue where the timing posts from the puzzle chest found in free roam could not be hit with a parry or of 3 players. There's an issue with the air realm gauntlet that allowed bosses to leave the arena's boundaries. There was an issue in multiplayer where players could become stuck if they attempted to use a phase node to escape the elevator before the door closes. Multiplayer issue where destroyed totems retained their collision model, causing janky movement around their vocation. I actually have seen that one. It was fun. It was annoying but fun sometimes to mess around with it. An issue where charm rooms in the Tower of Trials would not offer charm chests, obviously kind of broken. An issue where chests in a charm room would display banner icons instead of charm icons in the Tower of Trials. Issue where the Sunflare Orb activity could sometimes not be activated in story mission. Issue where opening 2 chests inside certain rooms in the Tower of Trials would prevent the elevator beacon from functioning. More Tower of Trials bugs were fixed, such as the players could sometimes receive 1 less key than presented on their timer. And then a multiplayer issue where only 1 player from a party of 3 in the Ascended Tower of Trials could see HP bars. Multiplayer issue where only the first party member interacting with a divination spring is able to obtain a boon when inside the Tower of Trials. Multiplayer issue where opening a door in the Ascended Tower of Trials could cause all users to disconnect, and a bunch more which you can read in the full list. There's a couple of PlayStation only issues that were solved using on your screen, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 PC only issues. Some of them have to do with ray tracing. Some of the PC ones have to do with missing mouse button prompts. Issues when using the spacebar to salvage in the select gear to replace menu, sometimes being soft locked, and a few more you're seeing on your screen. So whenever you saw the dual swords button, it meant based on player feedback collected from the various communities, and those are normally the ones I were prioritizing to read alongside some others. Overall, the update seems to be bringing some of the things that people were asking for, but it's not bringing one of the major things people were unhappy about, and that's matchmaking. Many people still are waiting for matchmaking because not everyone has people to play with, especially on the Epic Store, where the majority of people, play on Steam. But there are good changes. Whether the game is still repetitive or not, in my opinion, it still feels very repetitive, very boring, very grindy, very whacking. But at least they're trying to change. They're making an effort trying to make the game a more pleasant experience, which I do appreciate. To get notified when I upload more content for this game or other games like this one, which would be Wooters of all varieties, isometric third-person ARPGs, water shooters, and all sorts of wooters like that. You could subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on my content updates. And optionally, you can even join as a member of the Struck Club on YouTube as a channel member to get access to exclusive perks such as special emotes custom made by me, special badges custom made by me that represents how many months you have been a member for, as well as opt-in of editing tutorials that I can give for Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, as well as shoutouts and things like that. And I would like to use this part of the video to thank all my YouTube members and Twitch subscribers. Thank you for supporting the channel and keeping me going. Thank you also for watching this video, everyone. Keep it cool, Struck Club. Until next time, and goodbye.